Hi, welcome to another episode of TakChek or PekChek. I'm Weiren.
I'm Xinmin.
And together we are an education lifestyle podcast where each week we take a topic, discuss it, and at the end of the day decide whether or not it is interesting, which is
PekChek.
or frustrating, which is
PekChek.
Okay, so for today's podcast, all right, we have a special guest, which is Junyan over here. So he's one of our tutors here in the center. So the reason why we are having him here today because we are going to be discussing something that happened yesterday. All right, and I believe Junyan has the relevant experience here to discuss this lah. Okay, so yesterday what happened was. As of recording, what happened yesterday, 13th of August, basically Xinmin Secondary School was evacuated due to a bomb threat. Alright, so both students and staff were evacuated, police came and checked, but nothing suspicious was found. And the incident was resolved and the timetable went on as per normal. Okay, so the reason why we are asking you today is because, why it's you and me today? Because both of us have experience working in MOE schools for a longer period of time.
Yes.
Okay, so I believe, Junyan, you were working in how many schools before?
After I came out NIE, I was in 3 schools.
Three schools.
Yeah.
Okay. So just curious, have you ever been on the committee for this kind of fire drill or evacuation procedure?
Yes, because the whole school, the staff, we are all involved in this kind of protocol measures taken for emergencies. So everyone's involved.
Okay. Who does the main planning for this kind of thing?
Should be the OM, the operations manager.
Okay, so he will be the one who decides on like what route to take, route the students should take, and what the SOPs, who to involve and who to call upon.
Right.
Okay, I understand. So I suppose last time, because you're just a teacher, okay, you were probably more involved in the making sure that the students do the thing that they're supposed to do.
I think the first step is that every teacher needs to handle their own class first. And then after that, once we gather the students, we have certain roles to take on. Like one of my roles I remember doing was that I was in charge of inspecting a certain area of the school to basically check if there's anyone left behind.
Okay. So, but who takes charge of the students? So, for example, is it the form teacher? Because the form teacher may not be the one teaching the class at that point in time.
So what happens is that if we're at the moment teaching the class, the first thing is usually to gather the students at a safe location. So once they are gathered there, they report to their form teachers. Then the form teachers stay with them while the rest that have been assigned various roles to go and do their other stuff.
Okay. So, but this is mainly from the perspective of, say, fire, right?
Fire or pretty much they didn't specify, but usually we talk about fire.
Usually it's fire, right? I mean, that's the most likely scenario that will happen.
Yes, I guess it also applies to pretty much other emergencies like this one here.
This bomb threat. Okay. So again, what sort of emergencies can happen? So of course, we definitely have situations like fire, gas leak, and other building emergencies. I think very, very rarely Singapore gets earthquakes, like super duper rarely, but I think not too long ago there was a building that was shaking due to some earthquake, or was it in Malaysia? I cannot remember. All right.
Right.
Yeah, but I think fire is the one which is most likely to occur.
That's the most common one that we are prepared for.
Yeah.
That we're made to prepare for. But I guess, if I remember correctly, we also talk about if, let's say, there are other emergencies which follow the similar requirement of us evacuating the place.
Okay. But I think recently also there have been, I don't know if there is an increase or just an increase in reporting. There also have been like security or violence sort of emergencies, right? So I think recently there was, for example, the very, very, very heartbreaking situation of the River Valley High School. ISD also found 3 Singaporeans. Was there any like sort of training?
No,
or
not really.
Not really, right?
Like I say, it's not specific to cater for such what if we have a student who's self-radicalized, and what are we supposed to do? Not really have any measures that specifically takes care of this. Probably if, let's say, we notice certain behavior, certain tendencies of a student arise, we might bring it to the discipline master and take it as more of a behavioral issue that needs to be addressed, rather than specifically, oh, they self-radicalize, what are we going to do about that? Yeah.
Okay. But I think for this kind of situation, definitely, I mean, not specifically talking about self-radicalization or terrorism. If let's say a student gets violent towards his classmates or his peers in the class, it need not be terrorism related. What are the teachers advised to do in such a situation?
We are not advised anything specific,
Okay.
actually. So it's more of on the spot how we react to it.
Okay.
You asking this actually triggered a memory that I remember I ever had a case of a student acting aggressive towards another classmate. And my instinct was just to hold him back.
Okay.
So
Also, you had to
I had to
physically hold him back. Wow.
Yes.
Was there any sort of instigation?
Not really.
Or
I guess
what was the actual scenario? Like one
was
guy
like-
piece off A piece off B.
It's just they unhappy each other. Then he starts acting aggressive, pushing the table towards each other, and once it escalated to a point where it seems like he was going to really attack the other person, I just intercepted and held him back.
Okay.
So it was quite of on the spur moment. I wasn't thinking about is it a protocol to do that, and in fact, on hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have interfered because that involved me being physically in contact
Handling
with
the
a
kid,
student,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which might not even be appropriate if you think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, as teachers, we also have to think on the spot and then
Correct.
think about what's best for the students at the moment as well, right?
Yeah.
There was an incident a few years ago where the two St. Hilda's boys, they were all right. Other situations, of course, I think recently we went through like COVID sort of situation. All right, severe weather. I think other countries, what they do is if it's snowing too hard, or if the weather becomes too hot, right, they'll actually cancel school. Okay, but I think in Singapore there's no such thing as too hot lah.
Correct.
There's no such thing as too hot, but I everybody is a little bit more familiar with, say, HBL protocols already.
Yes.
So schools will definitely close. All right. Then after that, we initiate the HBL protocols lah. Just curious. During the SARS outbreak, were you teaching
No,
already?
I wasn't, but I did check in with some of my friends who are still in school.
Okay.
And the impression I got was usually for this kind of cases, the instructions actually come all the way from the ministry down. It's
Okay.
not decided by the school. So it needs to have instructions from the Ministry of Education to tell the schools that we need to close down, we need to shut down, we need to get students to all fall back to HBL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but and of course, I think from a school perspective, do you feel that nowadays schools are already have the relevant resources as well as the teacher preparedness to suddenly like, hey, today got outbreak, then tomorrow let's go HBL.
Okay, I would say I have faith in the sense that teachers will want to try and do whatever they can at any given moment. As for whether specific instructions, as I said earlier, it's not really there. The specific instruction on how to react, we have the general broad idea of what a teacher needs to do in a certain situation, but there's no specific, and I don't think we can cater so specifically to every single permutation and possibilities of what can happen in a given emergency. So it's really the readiness to react on the spot and the decision making on the spot.
Okay. But I mean nowadays there's like things like SLS as well as I mean my son, because of the PSLE orals that are currently on the way, essentially my son spent the past 2 days doing HPL. So I believe your son also
Yes,
your son is
was the one
he's
taking
your son is taking the
orals,
PSLE.
yeah.
Okay. So my son spent the past 2 days doing HPL, but I realized that nowadays, okay, so during COVID, right, I remember that the school teachers will actually make it a point to actually have Zoom lessons and live classes.
Yes.
And conduct the live classes from home. Okay, but nowadays, actually, there is like I realized that all the HPL is just assignments that are given
Correct.
to the students.
Yes, they go
Right.
to the SLS and do whatever is assigned for the day.
Yeah, so with this in mind, like, doesn't this mean that, like, since the school teachers don't have any sort of training or don't have any sort of practice with regards to conducting a live class, like via an online medium, like, do you feel that this sets the teacher back a little bit with regards to readiness for, like, hey, let's go, we are going to go purely HBL for the next 2-3 weeks?
Readiness.
I mean, from the perspective of our tuition center, our tuition center over here, all our classes are hybrid.
Correct.
So we run classes physically as well as cater to those people who are online as well.
But
So
what I'm thinking is more along the lines of when the time comes for teachers to adapt to the situation, I will have faith that they can do it. Because after all, we went through that as well.
Yeah.
When the situation called for it, we adopted the hybrid, the online components.
yeah lah.
And
But I mean,
of
a tuition
course,
center is our tuition center is not a school ma. We are small, okay, and then we have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to implementing certain situations. But I mean, with regards to a school, I believe they have to like subscribe to
think
Microsoft
maybe-
Teams on a
Correct, yes.
organization-wide
There's also a little bit
level. So there's more red tape to get through, right?
Yes, I was about to say that. Yes, there's a little bit more red tape for them. So from what I heard, even from students themselves, is that some teachers, they tried to do something only to be told not to do it again. And then they had to go a roundabout way before finally everyone has to do Zoom, do other ways of conducting lessons online. So as for now that we are in, technically peacetime and there's no need for long stretches of HBL, I guess the live lessons has been backed out a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are reverting back to actually how we used to do online lessons, or not online lessons, the
HBL, lah, which
HBL,
is
the
just
work-
assigning
Correct.
work. But,
self-study, assign them what to read.
but personally, do you feel that the school teachers should be a little bit more prepared when it comes to conducting live classes?
I think so. I think it makes sense that since there's HBL to prepare the students for it, I think the teachers should also mirror the effort that they are also preparing for the situation of having to revert to full online lessons, and might as well take the HBL opportunity to actually conduct that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've essentially covered like the 4 main categories for the types of emergencies that we have. Okay, so we essentially have like fire and building sort of emergencies. Okay, we have violent sort of emergencies, terrorism and national security based emergencies, as well as natural or health emergencies that are relevant to Singapore.
Right.
Okay, so let's ask ourselves, okay, with your experience, do you feel that enough is being done? Right. Let's cycle back to this fire and building emergencies first. Okay. I think fire and building emergencies involve the school, and then I don't have as long a history in schools as you have.
Right.
So really my experience is just, okay, fire drill, then I'll just like everybody, let's go to the field or wherever safe place that they demarcate for us, and that's it. Right? But if I recall correctly, I think also they will tell in the school that I was in, they also mention like what time we'll be having our fire, or within which period within which period. So at least within the 45-minute window, you're like, oh, okay,
and then you finish up whatever you need.
Yeah. Okay, so let's cycle back around to. It sounds a lot like the school teachers really have to like on the spot, like come up with something on their own. So what sort of additional training do you think that school teachers could be getting in order to better handle this particular sort of emergency?
To be honest, I don't think there's anything we can do because I feel teachers already have a lot on their plate. To tell them that, you must be prepared for this, please attend this course so that you are more physically ready to handle a certain situation.
I think you don't have to be physically ready, right? At the very least, there can be a list of protocols like, if let's say somebody decides to get violent towards the rest of the
but I'm
students.
just thinking more along the lines of, if let's say I weren't confident to hold back a person, for example, I wouldn't even go anywhere near to try and tackle a person or hold him back, or even basic knowledge of how to hold a person without harming the person, and don't risk danger to yourself as well. So all these are things that can be trained, and I'm not so sure whether we need to or we should impose on the already busy teacher to handle all this as well.
Okay, so maybe I can propose the following. You tell me whether or not you think is feasible.
Okay.
All right. So I feel that I think the teachers themselves shouldn't be the one going in and then like physically restraining the person who's violent.
Okay.
Right? Because I mean you're a guy. Okay, there's definitely going to be like smaller size teachers who may face this sort of situation, and how is there this
and gender issues as well?
Yeah. How would we expect like a small petite female teacher to go and restrain a 16 or 17 or even 18-year-old like big like rugby player, for example, who decides to go violent, right? So I don't feel that is personally I don't feel that it's the teacher's responsibility to physically restrain the kid, all right? But I do feel that it is the teacher's responsibility to manage the class in such a scenario. So perhaps a set of SOPs to tell the teachers what to do, to instruct all the rest of the class what to do in such a scenario. Do you feel that this is feasible? And then after that, for the physical restraint, I don't know, maybe the OM can designate a few teachers to, in such an emergency, to like, who are, I don't know, probably trained in judo or whatever, to come in and go.
Okay, let's say we eliminate the physical aspect.
Yeah.
One thing I can say is also schools do give instruction on teachers on how to, perhaps de-escalate the situation, mediate any disputes. So that has been instructed, so to speak, but it's not a formal training. That's what we are trying to ask here. So it's not so much a formal training, and maybe having such a formal training will be good, as in it's part of the student management kind of course that the teacher can actually undergo.
Yeah. So so for from the perspective of the teacher, managing the rest of the students, number one, telling the rest of the students what to do, be it hide under the tables or like barricading yourself, right? From the perspective of the perpetrator, tools for the teachers to de-escalate the situation, be it talking to a student or I don't know, calling the parent or whatever. Okay. But from the operational perspective, the OM, then I think there will be a situation where the OM has to actually figure out a way to physically restrain the
OM, DM.
Yeah, the OM and the DM has to find out ways to physically restrain the student. I mean, I don't know if you've seen before, in Japan they have like all these man catchers.
Okay, no.
Oh, you've never seen before?
No.
Okay, basically it's a giant rod with two prongs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a giant rod with two prongs, so you can basically like cap the guy against the wall.
Yes.
Cap the guy against the wall. So I don't know, maybe every school should have one of these, and they train. Doesn't have to be all teachers, but can train one or two of the operational staff to
from
deal
my
with this sort of
experience, if I
situation.
remember correctly, the OM and at least one of the DMs are usually trained in such things. They are trained. They have some background. Either they were working in the police or even in the army.
Yes.
Where they have certain experiences that can benefit them in this role. So maybe not so much training, but more of their own experience.
Okay. But I think now that I think of this like man catcher sort of situation, I think that would be useful. I mean, we're not in a situation like the US where they will actually have firearms to. I think in such a situation, having the teacher de-escalate the situation is like cannot.
Yeah.
I think it's useless.
Yes.
Right? Because definitely once you approach the guy already, then the risk of getting shot is too high.
The risk, I think the issue is the risk. Yeah.
But I think in a situation like Singapore, where the kid actually has, I think the most the kid can have is like, say, a knife or an axe or whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Axe, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the man catcher is a suitable sort of situation. Okay. So with regards to your terrorism or national security emergency, so in such a situation, if let's say there is a bomb threat, a bomb threat, then it's handled mostly like a fire drill.
Yes.
Should be right.
Correct.
For this terrorism or national security threats sort of situation, number one, of course, have to involve like the ISD and then the it's more of prevention but at the moment where it really does occur, I think it falls back to the previous like one or two scenarios, which is like fire or building emergencies as well as security.
I think there's also the difference of how those earlier emergencies that we talk about is more focused on evacuation.
Yes.
Whereas terrorism, there is the kind that is more of an invasion of the school premise. And that's where the reaction to that, the measures taken is more of a lockdown, where the students and teachers are supposed to hide. Supposed to prevent themselves from being seen by any invading personnel.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one's not so much of evacuation, but more of preventing coming into contact with the dangerous personnel.
Yeah, but this is if the terrorist, so to speak, is from outside the school lah.
Yes.
Okay, but of course, if it's inside the school, like the 14-year-old boy,
Correct.
then again, this will be treated more like a discipline sort of
Correct.
case. Okay, understand. And of course, from the natural and health emergency sort of situation, I mean, we've all been through COVID. I think this is something that we are pretty familiar already. But again, do you feel that teachers are as prepared as they should be? And what more can be done for
I think
an event where we have another like national health emergency?
I think what we mentioned was the issue of teachers currently, when they do HBL, they are falling back into the having online lessons and where they just dump the materials online for students as a reference.
Yeah.
And then when they come back the time, then they resort to either reteaching or reviewing what was supposed to be done. And instead of the live teaching, I think maybe the live teaching part should make a return, and that part should be actually implemented more.
I mean, from a systemic perspective, I think, don't you think that at the very least making sure that every kid has an e-learning sort of platform or a video conferencing sort of platform, I think that should be...
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I think at this day and age, everyone needs to have some kind of setup at home ready for this to be used.
And of course, letting the students know exactly what gear they need in such a situation.
Right.
Okay, so basically, do you feel that Singapore schools are actually prepared to handle each one of these emergency sort of situations? So, what do you feel?
I feel we are sufficiently prepared, but of course, there's always room for improvement, so to speak. And there can always be more things to be done, especially when a lot of the measures currently taken is more generic, not specific to a certain trend or a certain case. So perhaps one measure that can be improved on is to really start fine-tuning what are all the specific cases that we want to be prepared for, and perhaps work on them one by one rather than just one blanket measure, cover everything and hope that it solves it.
Okay.
I guess that can be done. But my concern here, of course, is I don't want the teachers and school to have a bigger workload just because of this.
Of course. Teachers are already stressed enough, right?
Yes, they're busy enough. Yeah.
So Yen, every week we do this. So for today's topic, at the end of the day, do you feel that today's topic is a very TakChek topic or is it a PekChek topic?
Well, I guess we are still safely in the TakChek side of
the
things.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, not so much on the PekChek yet because we are, so to speak, at peacetime where there's nothing too major happening within our country itself. So we are still in the safe zone, safe time. Then perhaps I can safely say we're still on the TakChek side.
Okay. I think I don't know, somewhere in between the two. On one hand, I do feel that like what you said, it is like peacetime, and then by and large, most of our systems are secure. We've managed to avoid most situations and managed to prevent most situations. All right, so for all our viewers, all right, if you do have any sort of opinions or